What's going on, guys? ShadowNinja here, and today we got a video focused in on the Endgame blog post. They delayed my Titan video today for another day, probably tomorrow, because there is some serious stuff to talk about. They gave clarifications on the amount we should be expecting when it comes to new raids, new dungeon, all that good stuff. And in general, this was a very good blog post. It's important to mention that I may or may not make a video on the other blog post that dropped today about enemy combatant modifiers and new style of enemy types that is different than champions, which sounds really good. So I'll link that down below in the description and in the pinned comment if you guys want to check out for yourself. So before we go anywhere with the information, just want to mention that if you guys enjoy the content, want more from me, please consider hitting that subscribe button and bell to be notified for when we do drop more content. With that out of the way, let's jump in and talk about all the goodness. So we got clarification on the amount of new raids and dungeons we are going to get. One new raid coming with the codename Apollo expansion and one new dungeon coming with the codename Behemoth expansion. So technically this means we are losing one new piece of endgame content, this being another dungeon, so that may be bad news. However, with this change, they have come out and stated that there will no longer be a separate dungeon key, which in my opinion is awesome. But as usual with Bungie and their monetary thing, let's see how this, actually affects the pricing of everything. So yeah, cautiously optimistic, I guess you could say. Now, in general, this kind of sucks. We're losing out on I guess you could say, legacy raid return and a dungeon. We were becoming, I think, in my opinion, very used to every 3 months, some sort of new endgame drop, but we got some more nitty-gritty details to talk about, which could be good news, could be bad news. It depends on the player and what you want in this new endgame content refresh. So with the raid in codename Apollo, the next season or major update will receive a challenge update, adding new rewards, new mechanics, new feats, more on feats pretty soon, and potentially even new encounters. The new encounter stuff sounds really awesome. They mentioned some stuff about a raid race event, and we'll see how that is. How much does that differ than the experience we get now with the world's first and things like that? But they mentioned something along the lines of highest tier of raid rewards being available from these challenges. New and exclusive rewards will be added as well, including new weapons and catalysts for the raid's exotic weapon. That was the dialogue they had in a blog post. I don't know how that affects the raid race event, but I guess you could say, let's see when more information and transparency comes out about what that event even means. Now, they did mention that they want to shake up the challenge format and traditionally what they usually do with the master raid and its challenges. So there will be some sort of challenge customization in the raid, similar to what we can do in the game when they launch this challenge customization feature. And the whole goal is letting players choose what kind of challenge they want. Now, Bungie, in this case for the raids, is calling these challenges feats, and feats will expose and enforce rules such as time trials, contests, combatants, and other mode modifiers unique to the raid. The more feats active during a run, the better chance of earning higher tiered rewards. It's important to mention higher tier rewards means different weapons has different tiers and things like that. Again, a little bit more depth and complexity amongst the reward chase right now in Destiny, or at least that's what they're going for. I love that. And overall, I think the changes on paper hopefully satisfy all kinds of players, and I do think that is a great thing. But as per usual, leave your comment down below on how you feel on that stuff. Now, with the new dungeon coming, the only thing really stated about what to expect is that these new dungeons will be offering something in the lines of what we see with raids. Let's see how that plays out. Does that mean we're going to get more weapons in the dungeons compared to what we usually get? That could be a good thing, but in general, that's pretty much the only bit we got on what the new dungeon's offering. So that means there is a major update left, or a new season left, that has nothing for Endgame, or does it have nothing? So they stated that in this final season or final update, whatever, for this annual cycle that they're doing, we're going to get the return of the Pantheon in some way. They talked about how much of a success that mode was for players and how much we loved it, and I think that is very true. So they are bringing it back in a new way. This is not only including legacy raid encounters but also dungeon encounters. I'm curious to see what legacy raid encounters mean, because but the mode is in its very early stages, so expect more info down the line. I do think the return of an event like this at the end of the annual cycle is not only healthy, but also very awesome to see. Pantheon was a great success from what players have told me. I didn't fully participate on it, but the little bits I did was really good. I'm also curious to really see what the legacy raids mean as encounters. Does it mean, we're going to get something from Scourge of the Past, something from Wrath of the Machine? Does this, they're taking encounters from vaulted raids? I think if they do that, that's going to be an awesome twist if it's like Pantheon and week to week, but we'll see how things play out in the long run. These are all things said in paper. So before we wrap up the video, just want to mention here on screen is the roadmap. Let's run it down and add some dialogue to this. So the Apollo expansion will be bringing in a new raid. Following that, the brand new next season or new season, next major update will bring in a challenge, refresh, new things to that raid. Following that, in codename Behemoth, we'll get the launch of a new dungeon. And again, this is going to be a 3-man in the lines of what we've usually seen, but offering a little bit more in the line of what raids offer, which I do think could be a good change. And the final major update or season of that annual cycle will have a Pantheon event or raid event, whatever they want to call it, to kind of fill out that end game content cycle. In general, I think what we're seeing here is a great change. Curious to see how it plays in the long run, but as usual with all this stuff, take it with a grain of salt. It's on paper, things change in game dev. But curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this, so leave a comment down below. We can have a conversation about it. If you enjoyed this video and found this video informative, be sure to drop this video a like, helps with the video a ton. And like I said before, if you guys want more content from me, definitely hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified for when I do drop more content. With that being said, hope you guys have a good one. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.